It's the Anfield Wrap. Neil Atkinson, Dan Morgan, Rob Gutman and Paul Senior with you for the next sort of 50-55 minutes or so to talk about Liverpool 1, Burnley 1, maybe have a little look ahead to Leicester, though we may leave that one for today because we've got to work out what's going on with Liverpool having what can only now be described, Dan, as a hugely frustrating week. They've conceded 8, scored 3. Obviously the Man City game's the 5-0 in there, and it does sort of hang out a little bit, but it's now two disappointing results back-to-back, really. Sevilla's a little bit different, but Burnley is a game Liverpool should be winning, however good at what they do Burnley are. Yeah,
it's a game very much that you feel like you shouldn't or you can't go a goal behind in because it just makes life 10 times harder. And that's more a credit to Burnley than anything else. But in context of the week we've had with not so much City now, but with Sevilla and now this result, I'm kind of wondering how much control we're asserting in these games and how much of a say we're having in the outcome of these games. I think, in a way, we're kind of being allowed to feel like we're dictating the result and the control of the game, but in actual fact, I think it's more of an opposition thing. I think both those teams who've come to Anfield have not looked in any, for me, real serious danger. And I think a lot of the game's been played on their terms, and that's what's worrying me now. We seem to be too willing to allow a game to be spontaneous and a game that plays out in front of us. We're not asserting the control we need to.
You're talking about the two games, yeah, Sevilla and this
Sevilla.
Well, Sevilla, I wouldn't agree with you on that one, Dan, because I think for the first half we absolutely blitzed them after the goal. We opened them up time and time again with really, really good football. So I'd call that control.
Yeah, we do, Rob. But what I'm getting at is there's an element of teams just saying to them, and backing themselves to be in a game on 80, and saying I fancy us to be in a game on 80. And I get you that it's a knife edge thing where they can either be out of a game on 20 or still be in a game on 80. But the fact that they're backing themselves to be in a game on 80 or for that point 60 means that the outcome of the game is very much set by the opposition and not Liverpool, is my worry with it.
I think Sevilla are more made for us because they did come at us more than Burnley did, and I think if we score the penalty in that game, it's 3-1. And although they could have roused themselves as they did in the final, there's also a chance that we'd have then more easily rattled in number 4. I think. Whereas I think we're doing this one again at 2-1 down, they're prepared to stay in it to 80. So I part agree with you. This one was more the groundhog Liverpool performance of the last 30 years. No, is it 25 years? I don't know, but it is a groundhog Liverpool performance in some respects. The stats show afterwards, and I feel like I hear these stats every season, that is now the record number of shots on target Liverpool have had in a Premier League game. I think that is what came out of yesterday. I wouldn't have said that if you'd asked me at the final whistle, but I've watched the highlights of it back, and Liverpool do have a lot of shots. Enormous amount of them are really stupid crap shots from Philippe Coutinho in particular. But there are a plethora of half chances and some really quite good, solid chances as well. I'd almost obliterated from my memory Solanke hitting the bar with about 5 minutes to go. And when you watch it back, we have a penalty seconds before then. So it's another one of those where you go, yeah, we could have won it 2-1 and we'd have gone Burnley, tough opponents, we grounded out, we stayed in the game, we kept making chances, we beat it. But that isn't the narrative because we didn't do it, so it now falls into the other of those narratives, which are now been too familiar in the last calendar year, which is Liverpool failing to take these sides that are clearly worse than us to the sword, at Anfield in particular.
Yeah, I think what Rob just said. I can't really disagree. We spoke on the City Talk show on Friday about maybe needing a sort of degree of patience, and I said I felt it was going to be a horrible game, and I don't think it was as horrible quite as I imagined. I don't think, apart from maybe the goalkeeper wasting a bit of time and stuff like that, I don't think Burnley were quite as Burnley as I expected. The obvious frustrating thing is that this is a Liverpool side full of attacking talent, but it seems to have the same problem time and time again. Unless a side wants to actually come and play, it can't continue. I don't think these results against this ilk of sides are becoming too frequent. You know,
home and away as well, by the way.
Yeah, home and away, but the home one is most concerning. I mean, this is, as I just said, a side full of attacking quality. But you know, we're talking in pubs in Manchester for the Man City away game, Rob, and you've got the Man City fans telling you just how good your attack is, and I know we know, but other people know that as well. And you think to yourself, we're really good against Man City or against Tottenham or Man United, who might want to come and play a bit. But if Burnley turn up, or if some other defensive unit, West Brom or whatever, turn up, what can we do? And we just don't. We seem to have cracked it. We were saying before the show, we seem to have cracked it this time last year. But it's almost like the turn of the year came and we've just forgotten.
It's just to put this in context, Dan, and I want to talk about this first, and then we'll go on to talk about the defender as well, because I think the defending's interesting in intervals, if you know what I mean. But Liverpool's this calendar year, Liverpool against the bottom 10 side, bottom 13 side, so we're not including Everton or the top 6, but including everyone else. Liverpool have only scored 3 or more goals on 3 occasions. West Ham United away, Middlesbrough at home, and Watford away, which finishes 3-3. Apart from that, against a side in the bottom 10 of 13, this calendar year, Liverpool have never managed to score 3 or more goals. And this, I can't make out that this is a confidence thing, because it isn't like we don't have chances. It isn't like there aren't decent chances, not absolute nailed on chances, but it's not like we don't have the opportunities. I can't quite work out what it is. Is it the intensity? Is it the fact that we allow ourselves, when we are on top, to be knocked out of our rhythm? And I do think there's a bit of that, but what do you think it is?
I think that we don't go into those games with the same intensity, with the same concentration, and I think we kind of just we let ourselves be dragged down to a level in certain games, and when we're on it, and when we're going into a game that we know is going to be a big challenge, and we know that it's going to be against someone who we're in and around, we're right on it. You can tell from the first minute we're right on it, and you don't get that blowing away of teams that we should be doing in terms of the bottom 13. So I think, like I said before, I think we're allowing ourselves to be dragged into dogfights and dragged into games and tempos that are dictated by other sides. And I get that we're dominating games, but the dominance in these games is not really laying that much of a glove on. Apart from Hoffenheim at home this season, I'd say I don't think there's anyone around us who, in this calendar year, that we're kind of just put into the sword, and that feeds into a lot of other anxieties, the crowd then, because, for about a year now I've been saying, can we just win a game 2-0 at home? Can we just have a game wrapped up by 60 and win a game 2-0? And
we did do that in February against Spurs. And that's the mad thing, is that it was an absolute walk in the park. They finished second last season, get 86 points. They looked like a really good side. And that was your game where it was all wrapped up.
That's
and apart from that, it hasn't happened. Exactly, yeah, it's against Spurs.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. And that's like, again, we all seem to be buying into this narrative of a team's going to come and sit in against us, so therefore the game has to be a dog. So the game has to be a dog, so we all have to sit and sit tight with the game, and it gets played on more of a knife edge than a game against any of the top 3 gets played, and that's completely counterproductive. I don't think we're dictating the overall the eventuality of the game.
I think your word concentration was the key one there, Dan. And and we talk about it in terms of the back, but it's up front, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lack of, you look at some of the chances we had yesterday. I was thinking, are they half chances? I see sometimes if I watch Spurs and Harry Kane's in the groove, what do you call half chances? There's look, my mate look solid chances by players who are confident with how they're striking the ball. Now Daniel Sturridge, I know he's rusty, and I think he had quite a decent game yesterday. I'm not sure many would agree, but I think he did. But he has about four better than half chances, where I think with a bit more confidence, and I think if you put him against Arsenal, I think he does score a header against Arsenal, or against Man U, Daniel Sturridge or Firmino even, they take those sort of chances. They're just that bit more focused and concentrated, maybe because they don't know where the next one's coming from, maybe because the whole game is about, there's going to be 3 chances, we will take them, whereas I don't know, there's a nervousness in finishing, I think, in those kind of games.
I think there's a blasé element to it, Rob. I think there's a mentality of, we'll just get another chance in a bit because it's a bottom 13 side at home, and it's a case of, I'll have a pot shot here and I won't carry on playing the next pass because it doesn't have to be perfect because we'll get another chance in a minute. And it's against when we're switched on against the better side, you can tell that everyone's in tandem with what the brief is from the manager and from the coaching. And I don't think we're doing it enough in those lower games for me.
It's interesting you say that, actually, because there was a stat floating around yesterday about, I don't know up to what minute it was true, but from 6 of the last 7 shots on target Liverpool have conceded, they've been a goal. And it's almost like the side's role reversed, are fully concentrated that if that chance arises, you have to take it. And the sort of blasé comment that you make there, I wonder it's because Liverpool can fashion so many chances, you don't necessarily feel like that one has to go because the next one's just around the corner. Where side like Burnley, they get that opportunity the first few minutes, bang, goal. Do you know? Because they have to have that killer instinct, because they're not going to be putting 29, 30 shots on at the goal in the game. So.
Did you think yesterday, Paul, you compared to, say, the Hoffenheim home game, Arsenal home game and Sevilla home game, you know, the classic goal in those games, I think, is the goal that Firmino scores, the equaliser against Sevilla. There's 4 in the 6-yard box when he puts that ball in the net, aren't there?
Yes.
I think, when that ball comes in from Moreno. Yesterday, the number of times Robertson in the first half puts in 2-3 good balls, there's one man, maybe one behind him. You know, there's not enough. Only like once or twice in the second half, I think we got enough bodies into the 6-yard box at the key moment.
I think if you look at the goal we score, is it Sevilla? Sevilla in the week where Henderson puts the ball down to Moreno, and we're sort of overloading the box. I wonder whether the sort of changes in midfield haven't helped that. Where there's that little bit of cohesion with what you call the sort of proper first 11, but Jordan Henderson's the number 6 there, and he's putting the ball in like a number 10. Do you know what I mean? That sort of defence splitting ball. Whereas I don't think that midfield yesterday. I'd love to know any time that sort of midfield's played together as a 3.
Suited Chan, I thought, but not the others.
Yeah, but my sort of point is that they knew when to really put the squeeze on the first team midfield. You know, they knew we can literally push up to the edge of the box and overload. Where, you know, you've got James Milner back in midfield, and I didn't think he was terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but it was just a bit disjointed, I suppose, where, you know, the Liverpool side, that's the first 11, would know when to go, you know, when to overload, when to drop. There's just, I didn't think he needed to make the amount of changes that were made yesterday, and I thought it was quite disjointed in a game where...
I think they're missing Lallana in that midfield. I think almost every single, whenever you go through your list of things that you'd like to see more from that midfield, and I think it's been the case in every game this season, even the ones we've done really well in, where with the possible exception actually of Arsenal being fair, but where post-match what you're actually wanting more of is a lad who is actually an attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
And I don't think Coutinho yesterday played particularly as an attacking midfielder, in the sense of he wasn't breaking the lines without the ball, he wasn't suddenly popping up when you mentioned numbers in the box, he wasn't suddenly popping up on the penalty spot, he wasn't forcing it in the right way at the right time. All the things that you want from an attacking midfielder, I don't think was there yesterday, and I think that's what could make a difference.
He's a pace setter. I feel Lallana. You know, you get the sort of the pressing element of his game defensively, but also offensively as well. You know, there's a little thing he just, it's like bang, let's go. It's that little turn, and it's the way he can move the ball quick, and he can sort of inject that Liverpool, we go again. Chances, you're fashioning chances, and Joe, when you're recycling possession, Lallana's one of them ones I feel goes, right, we go again, where it's a little bit slowed down with the other. Phil loves a touch, you know. I felt Milner likes a touch, and we can sort of play across sideways a lot.
Chan loves a touch.
Yeah, they all love a touch a bit too much, where I think Lallana into Firmino's feet, and it's move, it's bang. When Coutinho goes off against Watford last year and Lallana comes on for him, I thought to myself, that's not a bad change. Do you, was it last season?
Yeah, he got injured, he got a knock.
And it was like, yes, it's a loss because we lose Phil's talent, but actually what that game needed was a bit of Adam Lallana. And I think maybe yesterday, the Burnley game, is a perfect example of what you miss when he's not playing.
I don't know. Sorry,
go up first. Then.
All right. I'm half in agreement with the Lallana shout, but I think it's a bit of an easy one when we've had the week we've had, because nobody thought that after Arsenal. And maybe it's against the smaller teams, Neil, that you're particularly highlighting, and maybe I'm being unfair, but even so, I think we've laboured against the smaller teams. I think Lallana is a superb counter presser, and you can't always counter press against those teams. Yeah, we could have done with him. I think we are light a bit. I think Phil Coutinho was a major problem yesterday. He does need putting back in the team, but he was like Coutinho's evil twin. And I don't know if he's just I'm seeing the player I want to see at the moment because I'm still a bit sore about what's happened in the summer. But Paul says he likes an extra touch. Boy, did he like an extra touch yesterday. There was times in the first half where Milner made some good movements to Phil's right, and it was just give, go, and we're in the box here, and Phil check back 2 or 3 times. I'm not one of those who criticises him for taking responsibility and getting a shot away because he's been vindicated often enough, but that was taking the piss yesterday. I thought, I've never watched Phil Coutinho and thought that's a selfish footballer. With Daniel Sturridge, you kind of accept that he is a bit of a selfish footballer because
you sort of want that from him as well.
Yeah, you want it from it. It's part of his striker's makeup. Daniel Sturridge is in business for himself and good, but Phil Coutinho was playing like a player who's in business for himself yesterday, and it wasn't nice to watch. And I don't know if some sort of confirmation bias in myself, but it really worried me that.
I was screaming at him to use Robertson more because that was his ball. That was his out ball all the time, and Robertson was providing it. He was up there, he was just running, and he had yards to run into, but he was chewing it, he was cutting back inside. And the ironic thing with Coutinho, for how good he is, he's actually a lot better when he's just another cog in the machine, and he's got another defined role as well as everyone else. The thing I think we're struggling massively with is, and I think as a fan base we are as well, is I think we've seen that many Liverpools already this season. We kind of feel like we may have lost, or we don't know what our identity is. And we can sit here and say, well, we know what a Jurgen Klopp team looks like. We knew what this time last year the Liverpool side looked like and what its intentions were. This side all feels a little bit, or this year it all feels a little bit of a mixed bag of certain different things. And you can sit here and say, well, I want a Liverpool goal to look like Emre Can's against Hoffenheim. I want a Liverpool performance to look like Arsenal at home. I want that first 20 minutes against Hoffenheim to be defined as what this Liverpool team do. But I think we're seeing too many different things, and it's fine if we're trying things, but we've got to be getting results as well. When 7 players then come in, and you've got this uncertainty as well, then it just buys into it, and then you see the anxiety. It grows from everyone, and then you've got the stuff with the summer, and everything just feels like it's a bit of everything buying into each other, and everyone is just kind of a little bit uncertain in terms of who we are at the moment.
Feels like an extended pre-season a bit, this to me.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like we need to just let's stop and start this again here. Even yesterday, the 7 changes, it was a process of bedding those lads in. I think Klopp will take away something from that and go, well, okay, that maybe had to be like a free negative hit, if you like, because some of those lads needed to get on the pitch and get time. I thought, as I mentioned Sturridge a couple of minutes ago, I thought he was okay. I'm sure Klopp will go again with him against Leicester, and I hope he pushes on from there. A few in the crowd around me were niggling at him, but I thought he was really good. I was just very surprised Oxlade-Chamberlain didn't get a start.
Yeah, I was as well. I think he'll start at Leicester. Crowd done my head in yesterday. Crowd done my head in with because I mean, the Coutinho thing. Half them around me were urging him to shoot, and it was like, are we going back to this? Do you know what I mean? I know that there'd be loads in the ground who were saying no, but there's loads around me. Yeah.
That was the most shotty game, Neil. I was thinking, I was so glad I wasn't having to be near you in your rage yesterday. You must have been beside yourself.
The amount of people
the whole game
who absolutely lost their heads on Wednesday night against Seville, when Henderson passes to Moreno and doesn't shoot.
Yeah.
Will you get that? Well, I'm right.
No, I know. I was one of them. Neil bloody turned round and went, ha!
Oh, were you one of them? Okay. fair enough. But it's literally one of them. You go, he can see what's ahead of him, and his best option there is Moreno getting to the line and putting a ball in. Like I think it's like a game before my time, where fellas always 20, 30 years older than me are always shouting, shoot me. Granddad used to do it all the time, and I'm going to myself, no, don't shoot from there. He's 45 yards out. It's like a 1 in 1,000 chance of anything happening here.
One of the reasons why you don't shoot in these games, and I am going to bang on about this, and it's not just Coutinho, but Coutinho was, I think, the worst offender yesterday or something close to it. One of the reasons why you don't shoot is if it doesn't go in and it doesn't deflect, then realistically you're giving them opportunity to get set, to kill some time and to take some time out of the game. If that's because the goalkeeper gathers it or because it's a goal kick, you're allowing the idea there's going to be a restart. And I'd almost put the idea that we get a corner in that category, because that lets them get set and start again. When you've got the ball, if you're Phil Coutinho, the maddest one yesterday was the one that ended up in the top tier, and not just because it ended up in the top tier. You've gone past 3. That's 3 lads now who are behind the ball. Good Lord, that didn't happen very often. 3 of their lads behind the ball who don't expect to be. No, that doesn't happen very often. So you've got 3 of them out the game for a split second, and that means that the others are going, what do we do? We've lost these 3, our shape's gone a bit here.
Yeah.
You've got them now. You've actually got them in the place where you want them. So do the thing, now do the bit that you want to do. Now get behind them, or try to get behind them and keep them off balance. And even if it doesn't come for 3 minutes after that point, they're all still scrambling, and 3 minutes later they're dealing with, Dan, the ramifications of the fact that Coutinho went past that lad, as long as the ball doesn't go dead.
That's it. As long, the thing is, as long as you keep it going. So if you pop it off and your lanes become blocked, then just keep the ball going, because they'll mentally fatigue at some point, because you're working and you're
physically
working.
fatigue, or both.
Just keep asking them questions, keep shifting it left to right, keep moving it left to right, keep asking them questions, don't force it. And in the end, we'll get it, it'll come. And like I say, it all falls down to the fact that in games like this, maybe he's just got it on himself to say, well, I have to do this again. I don't know, but it kind of feels like in games like this, we're all too willing to just take an easy option, which sounds mad, because it's like I say, it's the other games where it's teams around us that we're doing the things right that we need to be doing.
It's not a black and white one, the should you shoot or should you keep playing it one. I mean, that joke we were talking about, Neil, the trouble with Arsenal is they want to walk it in.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when Sturridge gets the ball, I quite like him to have a look up and try and get a shot away, because I trust his shot. Spurs are like that when Harry Kane's on the ball. Harry Kane just shoots on sight a hell of a lot. But we don't have enough. Players, I think, who should back themselves quite that much. I mean, when we're coming under the cosh, you actually want the opposition to shoot against you, don't you? You want them to look up 30 yards out and to give up on ideas and blam one, because you know the odds are really in your favour. And as you said, Neil, the ball then goes dead. It's all about you. I do think.
I want to go back to that, Rob. I think that's a really interesting thing that you say, and I think it's important to put it in that context. And this is where, again, I get annoyed with the crowd. What do you like to see a side do against Liverpool? You're coming up against Simon Mignolet. What do you want them to do 25 yards from goal? You want them to strike it.
Yeah.
You want them to feel they've got to strike it. That's what you want them to do.
Yep.
You don't want them to try to feed it into wide areas, open you up, hang a ball up, all that sort of stuff. You want them to shoot.
It's one of them things you can damn a side with, isn't it? You go, yeah, well, how were they? Well, they just had a few shots from outside the box. It's like it's a way of saying they didn't fashion any reasonable chances.
You know in the closing stages of a game where a team's desperately trying to get back at you, when you see their midfielder or their forward blam one from 25, 30 yards, you know they're nearly done. You know they're finished.
The 13-14 Chelsea game was the thing. If you can put this in a box and go, this is what you don't do. This is where you basically lost your mind and how to play football and create proper chances. It's when you're just taking pot shots from 25, 30 yards out in the hope that something's just gonna happen.
I'll use that one. That one had the idea that Gerrard had slipped over and he was trying to make amends for it. Suarez's legs were beginning to tie that season. We don't talk about that enough, and Suarez is trying to force it as well. But in there, and this is where this Liverpool side makes so little sense to me. There's something else, which is I don't particularly trust it if I knock it off to one of these other lads. Rightly or wrongly, that's one of the things that's in there. And this footy team plays brilliant football in the big games that you're talking about earlier on, when they all are a team and they're all in it together and they're all knocking it off to each other. And then you get a game like yesterday's and it's not just Coutinho. This really is not just Coutinho. I'm just thinking to myself, lads, just keep bringing each other into the game here, because you're all good players. And I don't understand how you can have that mentality against Hoffenheim in a pressure cooker game at Anfield, where you've got to win, otherwise last season was pointless on the one hand, and then Burnley at home, which should be the right, lads, I know each of you is better than your direct opponent. I just know that's the case. So why aren't you doing it then? You know, that's the thing that I can't comprehend.
Have you seen the manager's comments on this, Neil, after the game? He's and I think he's an honest person, Jurgen Klopp. He's genuinely baffled. He thinks he's done enough to win that football match yesterday. He said, I've made the changes because I wanted to show the squad as much. In not so many words, I wanted to show the squad that they're as good as any combination of them can be, that we can now play with any combination of 16, 17 players and be as good. And he said, and we made the chances. He cited the bit near the end where they should have had a Stonewall pen and then Solanke hits the bar. that yes, that Burnley make it difficult. Yes, they have a defensive lapse, but they should win that game. And he kind of wants to be. He's quite sanguine about it. He's the thing on his face, he looks confused. He says, I feel confused by this. I don't know how to process this.
There's a solid quote from him there. He goes, "It's our fault. We were dominant, fantastic attitude. We played good, we're fluent with 7 changes, but only 1 goal." And to be honest with you, that sentence just is right, because there's plenty of chances, but maybe the thing he hasn't said is there's not plenty of brilliant chances. There's a few good ones, Rob, and I know we hit the bar and stuff like that, but this isn't like, you play Newcastle a few under Benitez and Shea Given's making save after save after save after save, and eventually it comes and you go on and win 5-1 or whatever it was that day. I didn't think it was that. There's a brilliant save from Pope. Who was it from? From
Trent.
Trent and Solanke.
It's a good save from Pope, and then from Trent. He should save it though.
Yeah.
But there's the Solanke one.
There's
the Solanke one. He pushes onto the crossbar, and I think that's the save of the match. I think that's a great stop.
But you've got to make them chances at home. You know, if you were Manchester United, Everton today, I don't know when the show comes out, but that today, if Everton set out to frustrate United, you're going to see that happen. If you're at home and you're the dominant side, you need the whole point of these sides is that they're going to defend well and that the goalkeeper's going to have to do something to keep them in the match. But the thing is, you just need that sort of killer instinct to just go bang and put them away.
The big chances, I thought, were the chances that don't end up being chances that we referenced earlier, the ones that flash across the 6-yard box, where we have got in behind and it's whipped in. And Sturridge was a bit slow on a couple, but there wasn't a second man behind him.
I just wonder whether it falls into the lack of communication and leadership thing. And I've referenced it with the back 4, but whether it's all over the pitch. So what I'm getting at is if someone is doing the same thing repeatedly that isn't benefiting the team, there's no one on there who's going, lad, just pop that off there. That next time you don't do that, you pop that off. There's your ball, there's your out ball there. There's not one bit of communication on that pitch from the back 4 to whoever's up front. Honest to God, it's frightening. I've sat in 2 games in a week now, very close to the pitch, and I always go on about this, and I do, but there is absolutely nothing. There's nothing, and it just needs, it's back to basics with some stuff. If someone's doing something wrong repeatedly and it's not benefiting the team, you tell them. You put it in their ear, so that, because they mightn't be seeing it. Do you know what I mean? You're on the ball, you're playing in a game, you're involved in the game. Your head might be down at times, you might not be seeing everything, you might not be seeing your own mistakes. It needs someone to tell him. Henderson was warming up by me, and honest to God, I swear to God, I felt like saying to him, lad, will you tell one of these to just fucking open their mouths? Please, will you tell someone to open their mouths? Because there's a moment, and I know we'll come on to the goal in a minute, but there's a moment about 5 minutes before the goal where Dyche gets Wood and Robbie Brady in, I think, and he just reminds them of the brief, and he's very much clearly pointing at Trent. There's the brief. The brief is you go long on him. 5 minutes later, there's a diag to Trent where there's an header that he's never going to win, but there's one just before it as well. Now, we sort it out after, when Matip starts going over and doing Trent's headers for him, but no one does it before. No one sees it. Yeah. No one does it before. Not one person. And if someone was to shout, because I'd have heard it. If someone was to even talk it, I'd have heard it. Not one person says, lad, you're going to have to go and win his headers for him, because they're pulling out onto him all the time. No one does it, and it's. I wonder whether that's across the whole team and not just the back 4 now. I wonder whether it's affecting us.
I think they want to play with tons and tons of fluency, but this is back to the cogs in the machine thing. Because if someone doesn't, and by that I don't mean for 90 minutes, but if someone doesn't for 5, but if 6 different players don't for 5, that's 30. If you see what I mean, and I know it's not quite as blunt as that, Dan, but if the idea is it's all so fluent, and I think that is the idea, it's something that everyone saw them doing pre-season last year, summer 2016, working constantly on shape and movement in an attacking sense. But if someone is, for whatever reason, bad day, wants to, in the case of Coutinho, wants to win the game because he needs this goal. He needs a goal for Liverpool, this lad. He needs to put it in the back of the net for Liverpool, or feel like he's had a key contribution for Liverpool. He needs that. Whether it's something mental, something physical, whatever it is, I think there's a problem in that. If it's not absolutely fluent, it's not quite what it needs to be. Yeah, often enough.
Yeah, or like against these, where the minute you get on the ball, you're getting volleyed because they just want to stop your rhythm. And they want to stop you in whatever you're doing, stop you in your tracks.
I think they need some credit, actually, Burnley. And Clark referenced it a bit. He said he actually said in his post-match, this was not our best result, but our best performance against Burnley since I've been here. And he was acknowledging that he thinks they're a particularly difficult opponent. I mean, they get a draw against Spurs last week, and let's not forget Spurs, the mighty, the much lauded Spurs, failed to break down Swansea yesterday before we kill ourselves too much. But Burnley yesterday impressed me with their concentration and work rate. I thought they're not making any errors whatsoever here. They're absolutely... The number of times we were in good positions, our man would see the pass on, would try and thread it, but they were very, very quick to read it.
I've watched them a lot.
Yeah.
Probably more than anyone else around here for a variety of reasons.
You can talk about it.
I think...
Sorry, dear.
I honestly think that 10 minutes after they go 1-0 is about the most ragged I've seen them since they've come back up. I didn't see them obviously get beat 4-0 by West Brom. But apart from that, they've never conceded 4 since they've come back up. So no one's hammered them. Home or away, no one's hammered them. No, they don't get hammered ever. Because they don't stop. They don't stop doing the stuff that they do. They genuinely don't stop for 90 minutes. So you can praise their concentration, and you're right to, but they show that level of concentration every time they take to the pitch. And they do what they do every time they take to the pitch with adjustments, but it's not hugely different. What I'm going to go on to say is that's about the 10 minutes after they go 1-0 down is about as ragged as I've seen a Burnley team since they've come back up. They couldn't cope with what we're doing. But this comes back to, I think, what I was trying to say to Dan before, and what I think Dan started the show off saying, Rob, which is, if you can do that in the 10 minutes that follow the goal, you need to be doing it in 3 sets of 10 minutes. And I think when we're talking about this Liverpool side not having scored 4 against a bottom 10 team, a bottom 13 team this calendar year, apart from West Ham, and West Ham's a good example. Second half against West Ham, we absolutely fly at them. For 15, 20 minutes, they cannot cope. And I don't think we put enough 5 minutes together. I think we've had, in all these games, and we always talk about how well we attacked and we played some great stuff. We often talk about that because we do often attack really well and we do play some great stuff. When we play that great stuff, you look at us and you go, that's brilliant. But what we don't do, we either allow our rhythm to be disrupted or we disrupt our own rhythm. And we don't put that 20 minutes together. That means you can't live with this. We should, honestly, I'm talking a bit too much here, but we should put together, I think, from when we go 1-0 down, the way in which we start to hammer it, we should be doing that right up until the break. The break should come, and then we should be doing it for the 15, 20 minutes after the break. And if we do that, and we play as we played in that 8-9 minutes after they go 1-0 up, we manage to hold that for 25 minutes on the pitch. We score 3 goals. But that's what I don't think we're doing. And I don't know what it is, and I don't know whether or not it's that the opposition are able to disrupt us too easily or anything like that, but that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, I think very good teams do that. I noticed as a hallmark of the sides I grew up watching that they had these bursts. You could watch the first 15 minutes and nothing seemed to be happening, and then a sort of secret code word seemed to be said that you didn't know where it came from, and then they'd have a blitz of a 15, take the lead, maybe score 2, and then it would happen again later on in the game. Yesterday, after Burnley score, we have a very good 15 minutes. So I turned to my mate next to me and go, we're playing really well here. I mean, not just when we score and after we score, we're playing really, it was a game where you sort of got into a mindset that it's going to be shit early on, and then they score early on, and then actually we're playing well here. But after half time, it's gradual rather than there's no tempo. There's not that sort of energised phase really at all in the second half. And the same thing happened against Sevilla actually. So whether it's a current malaise, it might at the moment. The trouble with these things is it's very easy to go, this is a trend which we've seen for the calendar year, and that's possibly true. But sometimes it's a trend for the past fortnight. Sometimes it's to do with early season fitness issues, I think, and I do wonder if I've seen. I'll tell you what I've seen as a trend this season. Even where we've played well, I've seen us tail off really badly in the last half hour of games.
I was going to say, is it not a point of when our 10 minutes are coming? The 10 minutes after we scored against Sevilla were awful. After we equalised, the last 10 against Sevilla were absolutely one of the worst I've seen under Klopp. Us, are we not choosing our moments better? Are we not, again, does it come back to, are we not dictating these games as to when we will have our moments in games? If we're only going to have moments and spells, i.e. 3-10 minutes, are we not then deciding when we're going to have them? You know what I mean?
Do you think we used the subs properly yesterday? I was surprised in a game that's frustrating. I think the first change is on 75, 76, isn't it? It feels. I mean, I used to have kittens with Rafa with his formulaic 63, 64 minute substitutions, but Klopp's beginning to wind me up about how we're not really getting them early enough.
They're there for a purpose. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a reason the substitute in there, so you can sort of freshen things up and maybe inject a little bit of something you're missing in the game. There's too much trust sometimes, and that's That's my big thing. Like, almost like I'll believe in this result until I'm blue in the face. But no, I don't think you said Rafa. I don't think that was ever the case. Is that 60 minutes we're doing this because it might just inject some pace into the last half an hour. You're saying, but the predictable last 10 minutes against Seville. Well, I also think that substitutes is very difficult to just go in and make an instant impact. So if you're bringing lads on with 10, 15 to go, it might take 5, 7, 8 minutes to get going. So you've lost a little bit of that. My thing is yesterday, I don't understand why he makes the changes that late when the problems are pretty obvious 15, 20 minutes earlier. We've got the final whistle group and the sort of contributors talking throughout the match, and everyone's talking subs 15, 20 minutes before. And I know it's an easy thing to do when you sort of play a manager to just go, well, I bring X on because such and such. But I thought there was a move there yesterday where I would have taken Trent off earlier. The Burnley weren't interested in going the other way from 60. So put James Milner into the defence, maybe a right back, and overload the midfield when you need to.
Do you know the Coutinho substitution wasn't what he wanted to do?
I could see that. Firmino goes off.
It's a cramp.
And then, because you see Coutinho's got a knock, and he sort of, because it's meant to be Milner, isn't it?
Yes.
That goes off, and he loses Firmino and Coutinho, which at the same time, which I thought was strange, but it was also very obvious that there was that Coutinho had signalled that he wanted to go off as well. But I think Firmino was so far off the pitch that he couldn't sort of withdraw the substitution,
Yeah.
I'd have done either Firmino or Sturridge on 60.
I was surprised Sturridge stayed the distance, didn't he?
Yeah, I'd have done either of them. I think having both of them on the pitch together it doesn't work for me. I agree. I think Firmino just gets completely lost in the space that Sturridge occupies, and he basically sees it as the areas in the pitch he wants to play in. And the thing about Firmino is he wants to isolate himself at moments in games in areas of the pitch, and Sturridge is already in that space, and he kind of gets lost in this no man's land. And very early on, he might have been fatigued. He's played a lot of football, but very early on, he looked redundant from about 55 onwards.
There's the change you make, though.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Not even in game. You make that one. If you're making 7 changes and you're playing Daniel Sturridge, don't play Firmino. What's the point? You've got Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain on the bench, just spent £35 million. I know this sounds basic, but what's the point in playing Firmino, who's not anywhere near as effective wide when you're playing Daniel Sturridge? If you're going to give him a break, give him a break the time you're going to play a number 9, because he is now essentially number 9. I don't see the point any longer in playing Roberto Firmino in wide areas.
I was surprised by that one, but the only sense I can make of it in Klopp, to give Klopp not the benefit of the doubt, but his rationale is, I think you look at that with the way he's made those changes, he's tried to make them through each department to not make them as wholesale as possible. And I think he's gone, okay, I'm changing. He changes 3 of his back 4, actually, doesn't he? He changes 2 in the midfield.
4 of his back 5, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 of his back 5, including keeper, 2 in the midfield, and then I think he comes to his front 3, who he sees as his prized possession. And I think the overriding thing is, I want 2 of those in. I've lost Mane, I want 2 of those to stay in. But I agree with you. I think we're all in violent agreement on this one.
Don't play Sturridge. That's the other one. Play Oxlade-Chamberlain instead of Sturridge.
Keep the system the same. Have 2 flying wingers.
Or play a front 2.
Yeah.
And that's I don't think I'm not quite in the Firmino and Sturridge can't play together camp. I'm more in that it's difficult if you want to keep the same shape camp. That's my thing. It's more if you want to keep the same shape.
I'm sure they can, Neil, but they can as a 2. Absolutely can.
And they play them as a 2 or play a 4-4-2 diamond, where it's Firmino who's the tip of the diamond, that he's doing more of the Aston Lallana stuff, and you put either it's Salah to play just as part of the front, be what Origi was in that last season, and do it that way rather than do it the other way. But we were just doing the same thing with that. But I just sort of think as well, and I think he wanted to get Firmino on the pitch with Coutinho.
The lad that can pull the defence apart through movement and craft and everything that's brilliant about Roberto Firmino can't do that from left and right. This is a lad who wants to sort of occupy 2 centre-halves to give others space in behind. So you can't do that. You can't do that. I just think he's completely lost. Like, there's a Roberto Firmino I never really liked when he signed for Liverpool, and that was when he was playing in wide areas. And then the minute he went central, I've got a sort of Norwich game in my head, and I was going, wow, there's a player in there when he's central.
In the 5-4 away.
I think so. Yeah. And I just don't get it anymore. If you're taking an opportunity to rest players and then you're going to play a number 9. Well, there's your opportunity to rest Firmino. And if this is a game, he's made 7 changes. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you're gonna, and it's not that we're even short of options that he could have brought in. And this is the frustrating thing for me is it was almost like just changes for changes' sake. And I know we've just played 3 decent sized games in a week, but if you rest all these lads in a week, well, he's got a week to recover. And I honestly think all these changes yesterday were slightly unnecessary, and I haven't got all the medical stats and stuff in front of me. I just think you've got the midweek off, and then you've got a game next week. You've got a week to recover. Don't play around. I hate this when we've got European football. It's almost like, well, we've got to prioritise this a little bit. The league's the priority. The league is always the priority for me. And then I think you could have maybe made more changes in the Seville game that wouldn't have affected you as much as the Burnley.
I don't necessarily. I think he could have made 2 less changes. I'm not sure we score that Slankis goes in, that we don't see it slightly differently. I'm trying to get sanguine about this and looking at where we are now after the start of the season. I think we've got 8 points.
We're in a very similar boat to Spurs. You mentioned Spurs before. Spurs have now dropped points at home against Swansea and against Burnley and Chelsea. Sorry, were they away at Swansea? Sorry, I might have got confused there. But anyway, they've dropped points in 3 games, Spurs already. They're on 8 points, and we're on 8 points.
Yeah, and look, I want us to win the league, but I also want us to cement ourselves as a Champions League side. I think that's really important for Liverpool Football Club, that becomes a way of life. And to be that, we need to be a 2-point-a-game team. We would like to have had 10 so far. We've had 3 at home, 2 against top 6 sides. 10 would have been a nice par for us. We could have bed settled. So we're 2 off. We're 2 off. It's not just like drawing with Sevilla isn't a disaster, but it's not great. 8 points from the opening 5 isn't great.
But you run out of shoulds, Rob. You shouldn't. You run out. You very quickly run out of the game where you shouldn't be dropping points. You run out of them faster than you think.
Well, what this translates to, and we have this. I suppose this comes at points every season. Sometimes we react well, sometimes we don't. We now go with 2 tough games at Newcastle and Leicester, but 2 tough winnable games. And I think whereas you before them, if you haven't dropped some points, you go, yeah, 4's really nice there. 2 point in a piece is no disaster, but 4's what you expect. Now I'm kind of looking at thinking they do need to be 2 wins on the bounce here. Anyone disagree?
No, I think what it probably comes down to is where we go next in terms of the start. It's a little bit indifferent, but if we can put a run together of maybe 10 unbeaten, which we're more than capable of, then in the context of those run of games, we can say, all right, well, we were just feeling our way into it a little bit, and there'll be that sense of looking back into it and thinking, well, all right, we had a few teething problems. We were this, we were that, we got that player back on the pitch. We got through it. What I'm saying is I think we need a bit of rhythm, and it wouldn't surprise me if Spurs go on an unbeaten run now where, they're winning games for fun. And what I'm saying is the season of teams suddenly takes shape, and I think that's what we're all waiting for. We're all suddenly waiting for our season to take shape, and I get what you're saying, Neil. Very quickly it can be taken out of your hands, and suddenly you're playing for 4th place again, and it's not even October, and you're thinking,
the problem is you've not really taken enough points from these first 5 games. So, but now you've got Newcastle away, Tottenham and Manchester United to come, and
Leicester away.
Yeah, sorry, and Leicester away, but Leicester. Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have overlooked that. Them games, they're no walk in the park. Do you know?
But let's look at the next 2. Let's just look at the next 2. I mean, they're difficult enough, I think, without looking at big negative sides against the.
But what I'm
sides.
saying is, when Neil's point is, these must wins, you sort of run out of them quickly. You also, if you don't string a decent thing of results, you're out of it. When you've talked about title races and you're out of it by October, you're very much, without some good wins there, potentially out of it by October. And that is so disappointing because it's January time last year where you sort of go, well, we're out of it.
Well, we were 5 games in last season with you think we're champions elect, and Chelsea are nowhere. So look, there's no point. Of course, you'd rather have the points than be having this conversation, but there's no point us doing our heads in here.
Can we talk about the defending? Before
we
got
can
we talk about the defending before we begin to sort of sum up? I want to talk about the fact that I spent a lot of time last season, slightly tongue in cheek, but not entirely tongue in cheek, saying Liverpool should have a look at Chris Wood. And the reason why I was saying things like Liverpool should have a look at Chris Wood is because he's a good player. I genuinely do think he's a good player. I don't think his touch is always great, but I think he's good. You can see he can open his long legs. He's quick for a player of his size. He's mobile. He works hard. He doesn't give up a lost cause. He's built like a wardrobe. He's absolutely huge. He's so broad, it's ridiculous, along with being 6'4", 6'5". And I'm saying all of this in the context of he is a good player. And I think he's a better player, for instance, than Akaka, who first game of the season when we went to Watford gave us a torrid time. And my point here is, I'll go Paul first on this, is you're going to come up against this player 1 game in 3, 1 game in 4 in the Premier League. Minimum, it's going to happen. And I'm sort of all right with the idea that we want Liverpool centre-halves to maybe not be Ryan Shawcross, who, for instance, could probably deal with Chris Wood. Or at least he'd back himself and he'd get themselves into a little scrap. We want centre-halves who can do a bit more than that. However, they do have to be prepared for the thing that they are going to come up against. That you can't Hansen and Lawrence in this all the time, that you can't just keep gliding through this. You are going to have your life made very, very hard on these games, and you've just got to have, I think, a little bit more of a plan. And I thought first half especially, we did not have that much of a plan for everything that he was always going to do.
There's no scrapper out of these centre-halves. You know, there's no one there. There's not a dirty... I wouldn't fancy, you know, if you're the striker, I wouldn't fancy myself against him all afternoon, centre-half of the club. You know, I've got my own not personal issues, it sounds terrible. I don't know, with Joel Matip, I've got a big issue with, and it's just a complete lack of aggression. For a lad who's literally possessed with all to height, touch, everything, a little bit of aggression, Joel wouldn't go amiss. You know, I don't understand what he is without it, because he's not this beautiful marauding centre half, almost like Rio Ferdinand was. You know, where he's absolutely brilliant on the ball. I don't think he's that at all. He's not the Rolls Royce defender people make out he is. And then you pair him with Clavan. Clavan's decent enough on the ball. And when we bought him, I thought he was going to be a sort of last-ditch defender, but he's a bit more of the same. And to deal with your Chris Woods and that, you need a centre-half who's willing to go and just and have a go. You know, just
there's no physique. I think it's a physique issue.
It's a bit of a Sunday. I feel like this is a bit of a Sunday League shout, but defending. It's a battle sometimes, and it may not be a battle if you're playing a Gianfranco Zola, little tricky lads. You know you can outmuscle all the time, but as you said, it's not that every week, and more sides now are getting. You know, Harry Kane's the best striker in the Premier League, Romelu Lukaku, just not far behind. These are big, powerful lads who you need to be able to have a scrap with, and these are the lads that are leading the lines of the top side. So it's not necessarily just the unfashionable clubs who've got Chris Woods. The best strikers in the league are also powerful. You know, they're not Suarez's, they're more the Drogba sort of bully.
I'll go back to you, Paul, on this. Is this a direction of travel thing? For instance, City do brilliantly yesterday at Watford and they score 6. But yeah. I wouldn't be, if we basically swapped Otamendi and Stones in for our lads tomorrow, I wouldn't be going, oh, that's our defensive issue sorted.
Absolutely not, no.
So I would, I'd say that they can get themselves into a physical confrontation and come off second best, Otamendi and Stones. We saw it a lot last season. I think even, United centre-half, I've seen Phil Jones look a dope. He's only 5'11", Phil Jones. He's not the biggest lad in the world. And in the meantime, centre-forwards, you're right to say, they're technically all very gifted, but they're also getting bigger, more powerful. We go to Newcastle in a couple of weeks, you cited it before, they've got Joselu. We go to Leicester next weekend, they started Iheanacho. If they don't start Iheanacho, they might start Slimani. They've also got Vardy with all of his pace. My point is more, if you make centre-halves be less grockish because you want them to do a little bit more, are we basically on a conversation here where, well, everyone's got these problems, it's just that we're dealing with them systemically or collectively the worst, if you know what I mean?
Maybe.
Maybe we're not dealing with them the worst, we just don't know, because we're not watching everyone else.
I think there was always that, I've mentioned it again, Vidic and Ferdinand, there was always a bit of this and a bit of that. And it seems like we've gone a bit more Rio and a bit less Vidic everywhere, and it's not just Liverpool. It's almost like they want that little bit more from the centre halves because they're thinking offensively all the time. Do you know what I mean? So they want more Hansen than Lawrenson all the time because, if I have a lad a little bit more like Daniel Agger, then we can step out with the ball, and they can almost act as midfielders when we're at home and we're not under the caution. We've got loads of the ball, so they can add a bit to that. But the thing is, you know, the Nemanja Vidic is the one that against Stoke under Tony Pulis for Ferguson, that he's dealing with the nonsense. Do you know what I mean? And that's that. I don't think we've got anyone who can deal with the nonsense because they're all too similar.
It does seem to be. I also think, going back to Dan's theme earlier on, the communication thing doesn't seem to be there. There is not a person. We haven't had a personality centre half in quite a while now, have we? And I know that's a cliche as old as times.
Is it since Carragher?
Yeah, and an organiser, and that's
Toure.
Sorry, maybe.
For me, it's no coincidence that Brendan Rodgers has gone and got Toure back in for the training ground stuff this week. It's Celtic having a little bit of a wobble, and he's clearly had to think about it. And it's Toure who he brings in. It's Toure who's the last one who showed what you could do even without playing at times, and that he set things up a certain way. Anyway,
we're all in agreement on this one. I mean, and I think the goal conceded, Matip's culpable, but Klavan most so, mainly because he should be the one giving Matip the shout. Matip gets caught under the ball, but Klavan can see everything. And I think he either gives him a bad shout or he gives him no shout, and Matip sees him in the corner of his eye, takes his eye off the ball, and it's Matip's to empty and clear. And not Matip's, it's Klavan's to empty and clear. And somehow the communication is everything that goes wrong there.
My frustration with the goal is that they've just been warned. That 90 seconds before they've just been warned, and that's my biggest frustration. And that if that just comes from nowhere, it's a long ball that's hoisted, there's a bit of chaos, and before you know where you are, it's in the back of our net, then I am looking at people. But my thing is, as a unit, as 10 outfield players, they've just been warned, and they've changed nothing. Nothing's different. They're just doing it all again, and then they get done.
It's exactly the same as the corner in the last 10, the two corners. The carbon copies of each other, and they both should be goals. The thing with Wood is, like I touched on earlier, he actually does us a favour at first 20 because he doesn't do what he's being told. He drifts all over across our back four line.
He's testing a few out.
He's just basically putting himself about. And once he gets told, no, you play on Trent, I'm sitting there thinking, well, what's our plan for this? What have we set out in the week to deal with this? Because for me, I was crying out yesterday for Lucas Leiva to just be stood on his toes. Someone should stand in front of him. The best centre-halves in the world don't get involved in dog fights on their own. So you'd have a plan for him. If he's going to come over, let Matip sweep in behind, and if there's an header, go and win it. But Matip was going with him eventually, but Trent was sweeping in behind. Now for me, it should have been the other way around. Put Trent on his toes. If he can't chest it, then he can't chest it because he was surprisingly very good on the half turn for me. Once he got a flick on, it was very directed. Or once he got his chest or his boot on it, he was doing something with it. So someone stand in front of him, someone big stick behind him. And the thing with Klavan is, Klavan's mistakes are the mistakes of a £4 or £5 million defender, not a 40-50 million pound defender, which will be
exactly what he is.
Yeah. But his mistakes. So twice in that game, he gets completely sucked into the ball, and for the goal, he just vacates his own space that he should be dealing with. Arfield's got a free shot at goal that he scores. The header that leads to the corner, he just goes, the ball's in the air and he just goes towards it. And the mistakes of a £5 million defender, that's where the bridge is. We haven't got that 30-40 million pound defender who can come in and make mistakes that aren't as dramatic as those of Klavan. And I'm doing him down, but it's costing us in games. And he is the third choice centre half. He's the third choice centre half.
Steve Graves said this about Karius last year. He went, you bought your solution to your goalkeeping position for the price of a London apartment, and it was I've never seen anyone sort of sum this up so much that it was you haven't spent enough money for him to be the cure. And I understand that sometimes you get these little gems in football, but scouting and the academy system and all this now is the fact that you don't get an Ian Wright anymore. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's dead interesting the conversation around what we're doing at centre-back in terms of recruitment in the last 2 summers, Paul, because I actually think the issue is as much buying Klavan last summer as it is what happens this summer. Because you end up in a situation where, for whatever reason, the manager doesn't want to do 2 this summer. And I can understand that doing 2 centre-halves is against a lot of what he's about in a variety of different ways. So last summer, when he decides he's going to need 1 more, and at that point it's Klavan to come in and be 4th choice. But he very much comes in and he buys a 4th choice. And now where he's ended up is that the lad that we've bought in to very much be a 4th choice who he keeps trying to make be fourth choice. Sakho's an idiot, and then we go from there. And he's trying to sort something out this summer. He's now ended up with this lad as his third choice. When Lovren to me looks fine as a third choice, if you've boxed off one of the top two. And my thing on this is, it's sort of echoing your points. You've basically gone and spent £5 million on a £5 million defender to be your fourth choice defender, and still occasionally played Lucas ahead of him last season. And that's not being addressed. That's the thing that's not being addressed, as much as the idea of Virgil van Dijk coming in to be all singing, all dancing superstar Liverpool centre back. But it should probably have been addressed last summer rather than even just this.
Well, he was brought to be 4th/5th, wasn't he, Klavan? And now he's third. And this is with.
That's not fair on him.
No, it's not. It's not fair on him.
If you sign Van Dijk, he's 4th.
Yes,
because Matip or Lovren become 3rd.
But we don't, and this is the problem, that this is a lad who's been bought to be 4th choice centre half for Liverpool, and he spent his whole Liverpool career being 3rd. Now, Klavan as a 4th choice drop down, well, that's fine, because you're not going to go and sign Harry Maguire and tell him that you're going to play once every 6 weeks, or not even that. If we get knocked out the FA Cup, Harry, you're playing 10 games this year. That's just not going to happen. So you need lads like Ranier Klavan, sort of in the twilight of their career, who's got the big contract and the big move, because he's had a bit of, he's come to fruition at the end of his career in Germany. The sell's completely different, and they're just not going to accept it. But Liverpool, we needed either a first choice centre half to knock one of the 1 and 2 down to being number 3, or you needed someone better than our current number 3. That's Klavan. And it was all right having Plan A, which was Van Dijk, and I completely understand it. But we pay a lot of football for these seasons, and you can't just go, well, we're just going to have a buy this one, and we're just not going to remedy this problem. Because maybe Van Dijk, maybe not Van Dijk. You might not get him next year.
The truth is about the defending issue, and we've debated the systemic. Is it a team issue, as Klopp likes to allude to from time to time? Even if all those things are true, we probably don't concede half the goals we do just with a better individual in that back two. It's as simple as that.
I wonder if it's 2 better individuals.
I mean,
and this is why I think
I thought we should have bought 2 at the beginning of the summer. I think I said it somewhere along the line. I mean, I get by the end of the summer what the strategy is, and they're so invested in Van Dijk. But yeah, there was a case for 2. When Sakho was so clearly out the running, Lucas was a centre half last season who's gone. Mm-hmm. So there was a case for a Johnny Evans level. Okay, the price went from being 15 million at the start of the summer to 25, maybe 30 by the end of the summer. But really,
but if you do one of them at the start of the summer, you actually get one for 15 million.
And it's headache solved,
and that at least means that you can relax and you can say, right, we're moving this one along, and then we're going to have more than enough games. You can even trail nonsense like, even if we're not going to do it, we might do some 3 at the back, yada, 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 yeah. Matip might do a bit of time in centre mid. You know what I mean? You can just come up with some bollocks. Yeah. 1 or 2 of them might play fullback occasionally, and then you either solve it or you don't. Yeah. And that's where I think there is legitimate frustrations. But on that, and this is my next point, is what I mentioned as missing Lallana. I think we're missing Klein, and I think one of the reasons why we're missing Klein, Dan, is firstly because of what he gets damned for, but there's a lot to be said for predictability and reliability in a teammate, certainly one who's playing right back. We are not talking here about attacking midfielders who you want to see show flair and moments of inspiration. I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing, though, is the other reason why I'm missing Klein is it might be time to give Gomez a run at centre-half, but at the minute he probably doesn't feel as though he's got the luxury of that.
No, I think probably Gomez is going to come back in as soon as he can to right back, and that's a worry with everything we just spoke about at centre-half. Klein gets unfairly slated for me just for being
for being good,
for being solid at everything he does. And I think Ben Johnson mentioned it on a show the other day where he just said we seem to be lacking at the moment the Milner Klein joining in with midfield combinations that they were given last season, and I think we are. And I think when you look at that in the context of Klein was very good at winning his one-on-ones as well. The only thing you could slate him for really was his final third stuff, but at the end of the day, you can't ask for everything out of a fullback. Do you know what I mean? And I think we're sometimes guilty of that. I think we are missing him. I think we're missing him in context of just how raw Trent looks at times and how much guidance he needs. And I felt sorry for Trent yesterday because I think he's learning the hard way very much so in this Liverpool team.
Out of position as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but no one's helping him, Rob. Again,
No.
He gets absolutely mauled at City, and you just get the feeling no one's even, if no one's talking to him, they're not even shuttling over and doing a few doggies for him or sitting in for him, and just there's got to be some more help for him.
Doggies.
Yeah,
What does that mean?
it's a footy term.
Tell me, go on. Okay. I wasn't born and bred in the city, I'm afraid. In my 30 years, I mean,
Like
that's
that
30 years, I've got a new one. Thank you, doggies.
You can have that, mate.
Sake.
Take it with you, Rob.
That's a T-shirt right there, Neil.
five-a-side
Dan Morgan's doggies. Anyway,
Don't let that catch on.
No. I mean, I've watched Trent come through the youth ranks, and when he's been, I've seen City at youth under 18 level give Trent a mauling. He's not a fullback, he's a midfield player, and if he's going to be played at fullback, then having flyaway wingers who really don't want to get home that soon, it's a bit counterproductive. But I do get that Burnley is the kind of game where you can give Trent some licence, and he has his moments, and it's not the worst. The problem is we've got Trent and Gomez now who are being deep-ended. Gomez is a really, really good defender, well, a really good player.
Would you play him centre-half on Tuesday?
You see, that's the problem, is I think... Jamie Carragher, one of the greatest centre-halves in Liverpool's history, I think, behind Hanson Lawrenson, but not far, doesn't play centre-half till he's 24. Joe Gomez is 21 now, isn't he? You could do against Leicester, but he will make a mistake, and we saw that at the end of Sevilla. He had a really good game against Sevilla, apart from the last 5 minutes where he's a nightmare, and he loses his head, makes 2 terrible errors, and then gets himself sent off. So that could happen against Leicester. I don't know. I wouldn't be rushing to put Joe Gomez into any centre half unless the rest of the defence was more stable.
Okay. Quick prediction for Leicester. Does anyone want to try and do me a team? Flanagan going to start?
Yeah, let's do a team.
Danny Ward goal.
Danny Ward goal, which I'm looking forward to.
Flanagan will be one side, and Flanagan probably right back.
I don't think Flanagan's anywhere near that. People have said this all week. I think you will see Trent and... Sorry, to answer your question, whether I would put Gomez, I'm sure he'll play centre-half and Trent right.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced. I think Flanagan plays. Robertson or Moreno. I think one of the left back. Yeah, obviously a left back plays. So I don't know who the other centre half is going to be.
I think he'll bring Lovren back for it. I think if he's going to put Gomez in at centre half, he'll want to put one of his 2 seniors next to him, and I think that might suit Lovren.
So do you think?
I wonder if the idea of saying to Dejan Lovren, you've got to help this lad out, might help Dejan Lovren out. It could very much go the other way, knowing what Deggsy's like. Yeah. But I think
you're the senior pro.
But I think it might help him to get to be that figure, and I'd like to see that, actually, see if there's something in that. So I'd be going Lovren and Gomez, and then I'd be making a decision on right back based on. I'd rather see, if I'm desperate to win the game, I'd rather see Alexander-Arnold start than Flanagan. Yeah, so
Flanagan's a player who's struggling to get a game in the Burnley side. No disrespect to them, they've got a point against us. So I don't. Flanagan is not Liverpool's future. So I don't see that at all.
And I'd give Lovren the opportunity to play next to Robertson as well. So I'd probably pick Robertson, and then in midfield, as Henderson didn't start Saturday, I'd look to start Henderson. I'd look to start Woodburn.
I think he's a shoe-in, Woodburn, of the kids.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have an issue if he went Henderson, Ejaria and Woodburn. I don't think he will, but I wouldn't have an issue with that.
I think Ronaldo might play.
Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Do you not think Oxlade-Chamberlain plays in the front three?
Maybe he does.
I think or
maybe he does a Diamond.
The shoe-ins, the ones who have to start, I think, given the competition, and
keep
they
looking for Divock Origi in this.
I think Solanke would, but of the sort of the fringe players who haven't had enough games, you have to be looking to Solanke, Sturridge, Oxlade, Woodburn, Milner. Those 5, you kind of got to fit a team in around those.
But he's just done a couple of them. Coutinho might play.
I think what doesn't help us is playing them twice in a week, because I don't think the manager's asked about this competition at all, but what he won't want is for us to get at Iden going into a league game there next week, and maybe there's something in our heads then. And
also same with Sturridge, it's in terms of playing twice in a week, because he can't play Mane against Leicester away. So he may well have in his head he wants to play Sturridge there as well. But if he just basically said to Sturridge after the game yesterday, go home, don't come back, come in Monday for a team meeting, but you start on Tuesday, and that's the end of that, then I could see that happening.
I think Milner's a set,
Yeah, so do I.
I think he's a set because he's not going to just not give him games. One game for James Milner's playing 3 a week 6 months ago, so playing him twice in 3 days isn't going to be a problem, and James Milner needs games, especially at this point in his career. So I think he'll want
to get Woodburn on the pitch. Maybe he plays a Diamond.
But both. I tell you what, I don't think. I did think Coutinho would, because he needed the minutes, would start, but I don't, because I think he'll want Coutinho in the next 3. So I think he might have Coutinho on for the last half hour for his minutes.
I'm not sure Woodburn is a shoe-in,
I'm not sure he is either, but I think he should be. I'd like to see him. I'd like to get him on the pitch.
Solanke, I think is.
I think Solanke is, but I'm not convinced that Woodburn is. I thought it was really interesting they played him in the
Seville game.
The Seville game for the under 19s.
Yeah.
Is it? I thought that was maybe protecting him a little bit as well. That he just sort of took him out the limelight after what happened with Wales.
All right, so we can't pick your team for Leicester because we're all in violent disagreement.
It's a nice problem to have this many.
To have this many who could come through and also could
in,
do at the time. Thank you very much, Dan, Rob, and Paul, to be in the Anfield Wrap this week.